You hear the screeching of an owl, you hear the wind begin to howl. You know there's zombies on the prowl, and it's terror time again. They've got you running through the night. It's terror time again, and you just might die of fright. It's a terrifying time.
Hello. On today's episode of the Zomboid Beginner's Guide, we'll be covering seasons, weather, and a bit of the world in depth, as we are the riders on the storm. There's a lot to know if you want to survive the harsh environmental changes out there. Now, before I begin, I want to give another shout out to the lovely Katophoenix for her great artwork. Now let's begin the video, shall we? Let's start this off with weather. There's a fairly good variety to the weather systems within the game, and the weather works by simulating realistic climate patterns to create, say, light drizzles all the way up to intense tropical storms that'll ravage the land for days on end. From fog to rain to more wet white stuff than a back alley hooker will see in a week. There are 6 forms of weather conditions within Zomboid, and no matter what, you'll have to take special precautions. Fog tends to get a little chilly if it forms on a cold morning, and it heavily obscures vision, allowing those undead brain suckers to shuffle up on you. Rain has a large variety of modifiers that can change out how it plays, from a light drizzle all the way up to a heavy tropical storm blanketing the world in darkness, rain, and thunder. This is dangerous as it can block out the sun and drown out the zombies shambling in the dark, misty world, just waiting to take a bite out of your ass. All of this isn't even counting all the medical effects of being caught out in the rain too long. If you don't take precautions and have layers that'll help you keep you dry, or an umbrella, you'll slowly lose body temperature, you'll catch a cold and illness, which will cause you to sneeze at the very best case, and slowly spiral into a weak, shambling mess, dying of a fever at worst, all the while sneezing your head off and attracting every zombie around you, and you being too weak to effectively fight them off due to your reduced strength and slower rate of healing from the cold. Snow shares many of the same physical effects as getting caught out in the rain does, but at a faster rate due to the already bone-chilling temperature outside, allowing the weather to drain your health and strength even quicker. Snow can also intensify much like rain into intense blizzards, which also come with the negatives of strong wind chill as well. I'm talking negative 20 degree plus wind chill. That is cold. Bright sunny days are often accompanied by higher temperatures, especially when the clouds are clear. This increases your chances of suffering from the negative effects of overheating, all the way up to a sunstroke. These symptoms include a heightened consumption of water at the first moodle, that being unpleasantly hot. The second moodle, overheated, further increases your body temperature and causes you to consume even more water. The third moodle, sunstruck, causes you to consume even more water and also suffer a reduction to spatial awareness, making you less likely to notice an attacker coming. The final and most dangerous is hyperthermic. If you become hyperthermic, you will die of sun exposure if you do not get inside and cool off immediately. Try to not stay out in the heat or the sun for as long as you can, and give your body some time to recover from the heat. Cloudy conditions can vary wildly, affecting the world's overall light levels, sometimes even getting dark enough to block out the light entirely. Clouds also reduce the likelihood of sunstroke and overheating as intensely. Wind drops how the temperature feels, depending on severity. Very helpful during the summer for keeping cool, but in the winter, it'll make things so much worse for you, dropping the temperature anywhere from 5 to 20 degrees under what it really is. You won't have to worry about the zombies, because instead you'll become a popsicle in the middle of Kentucky. What a way to go in the zombie apocalypse, right? Here you are, in the middle of the backwoods Kentucky, and instead of being eaten, nope, you froze to death. Sucks to be you. The final thing to note about weather itself is the fact that many of these conditions can all play out in varying degrees with one another. Such as in intense snow, you'll also likely have a very high wind chill, maybe even have cloudy conditions further blocking out the visibility. I wasn't entirely sure where to put this, but within Zomboid there's also a day-night cycle. The amount of day and night depends on the seasons, with the summer having the longest days and winter having the shortest. And there's also a 30-day moon cycle. Depending on what phase of the cycle the moon is at, this determines how much ambient light there is in the world at night, both impacting your sneaking and visibility levels. You may wish to keep this in mind if you have to do any night rays for loot, or just hauling ass and you don't have a flashlight or might consider bringing one. With weather itself covered, now let's start on the seasons. We'll start with spring. Spring is a time of great abundance in nature and is generally the most mild in terms of weather conditions. Rain is very prevalent during this time of year, with the chances of storms being quite high. And due to the colder mornings, fog is more common here than during any other season. It's also one of the best times of the year to hunt, fish, forage, and farm for food, as it's at higher abundance levels than the entire rest of the year. Spring lasts from March to May in-game. Summer is usually the hottest time of the year and lasts from June to August. Be sure to take care and avoid wearing too many layers, lest you suffer from the effects of heat exposure. Rain is fairly common during the summer months, but it also varies from year to year, which is partly thanks due to the excellent weather system in the game. Trapping, hunting, foraging, fishing, and farming are all still viable forms of food during the summer months as well. Fall is definitely one of the most volatile months out of the entire year due to the rapidly shifting changes in weather patterns associated with this time. Farming is also less effective during this period due to the colder weather. However, cabbages and potatoes tend to yield the highest yields due to their cold resistance. Foraging and fishing are also still solid sources of food, and if you're out and about during this time of year, don't be surprised by long periods of tropical storms, making it harder to see and move around. Plus, with the cold setting in, be ready for medical conditions. Fall lasts from September to November. Winter is one of the harshest periods of time for survival, lasting from December to February. This time of the year could be a killer for many players not accustomed to the colder conditions. Unlike the summer, you want to wrap up warm with plenty of layers if you don't want to succumb to the severe cold and snow. Food also becomes much more scarce. I hope you've stocked up on plenty of supplies, because farming is heavily weakened outside of cabbage and potatoes. Foraging for food is pretty much impossible. Fishing and trapping have both suffered lost potency as well, so this will test your ability to scavenge and maintain food stores. And if you start during this time of year, or during the winter is coming challenge, you'll have to scavenge as much non-perishables as you can if you wish to survive. Daylight's also at its weakest at this time of year, with the sun going down sooner and rising later into the day. The last aspect of the game that fits into this topic is Erosion. Fun fact, this actually originally began as a mod, and the developer of the mod was brought into the Project Zomboid team, and the first task they were given was to incorporate this mod fully into the game. So over time, the world begins to erode and decay, while also breathing new life into it. The buildings will start to be overtaken with vines, cracks and damage will appear on buildings, grass will grow taller and overgrow lawns and gardens. New trees will sprout from the ground and eventually grow into fully grown trees that can be harvested for their lumber. After around 3 months or 100 days, the signs of erosion eventually stop, leaving the world looking run down, overgrown, and overtaken by the hordes and nature. Another thing of note is the longer a game goes on, the higher the zombie respawn multiplier goes, eventually leading to massive insane hordes overrunning and infesting major population centers. I think this just about covers everything you need to know about the weather, climate, and seasons. to help survive the unforgiving world that is Zomboid. If you got any more suggestions or requests for video topics, be that an aspect of the game you want covered or a mod you'd like to see my thoughts and suggestions on, feel free to say so down below. Thank you to Chill Homer for the suggestion for this video. This has been Core, and I'll see you in the next video.